as America gets safer, and as the risk of serious confrontation goes away, we get safer, we get more prosperous, and all the rest. Our attention has to turn to lower and lower things because the big things are pretty much taken care of. And somewhere around the time that People magazine first came out, the country started to become obsessed with celebrities, with the pop culture makers rather than the pop culture. And frankly, Larry, as people who've lived out here, you cannot find a worse group of people in the history of the earth. Yes. They're just the most awful people there are. It's fun to make fun of the Kardashians, but genuinely speaking, just using them as one of thousands of examples, these are not the kind of people you want to emulate. They're horrible, horrible people, and most of the movie celebrities and musicians are as well.
Yeah, it's funny. My dad has said he just turned 80 this year.
Congratulations.
He said that he will die a happy man if by the time he dies or before he dies, he can pick up a People magazine and not know one person in it and not recognize their names. He said, then I've accomplished what I want to accomplish. One of the things I like to say on my radio show, because I try my best, I'm right between Rush Limbaugh and Mark Levin. So, for political punditry and observations of American politics, you don't get much better than those two.
No,
so
you got the Thursday night 8:30 slot on NBC.
Yeah,
if you want to talk dinosaur spot to talk.
So if I want to try to do what they do, that's a pretty heavy lift. So I try to say what happens in your house is more important than what happens in the White House. In other words, and I think that's, by the way, in keeping with what our founders wanted.
Absolutely right.
There's a reason why so much direct representation and so much local control was baked into the cake here originally in America, because they didn't want us to obsess every 4 years about who sat in the Oval Office. There wasn't even an Oval Office at the time, right? But they weakened the presidency. They didn't see so much importance with the presidency. Why do we buy into the media myth that whoever becomes president every 4 years is the beginning, middle, and end of American politics?
And they didn't even run, Larry. They didn't even campaign until just before Lincoln's election, maybe around Polk or somebody like that. The nominee was expected to sit on his estate, shrouded in glory and wrapped in his robes and wearing his laurels, and have the desperate American people knock on his door and beg this person to come and save the republic.
Yeah. And meanwhile, we were to put pressure on our local representative. We were supposed to focus on what was going on in our community, in our state, at our school board. The stuff that's going on in people's local schools and the kind of decisions and rules that are being handed down curriculum-wise, but also culture-wise, at their school board level. And most Americans can't tell you who's on their school board, let alone when the election is. But they can tell you who all the president's men are, and they can tell you who all the advisors are. And I think that that's partly a media creation, too. They make so much money off of this, and they have created such a, it's almost like following your favorite sports team. If people took just some of that time and energy they spend and focus on their school board, focus on their local city and county government, focus on who's in charge of the local voting registrations and the registrar, their state governments. And then thankfully, because Obama was such a huge celebrity over the last 8 years and he played into this media iconization, glorification of the presidency, that the Democrats took their own eye off the ball, too. So we do see a whole lot of Republicans and conservatives, not always the same thing, of course, Bill, with great influence now in state houses, as long as their feet are held to the fire. But I wish we would focus more on our school boards, focus more on what's going on in our neighborhoods, in our own homes, at our churches, just a little bit more. Because I think when you feel powerless and you feel like your government isn't hearing your voice and you can't change what's going on in Washington, D.C., listen, you should be frustrated and you should be angry, but you should also turn some of that energy to what you can influence and what you can change. What can you change? You can change your kids, you can change your schools, and you can change your community. And frankly, that's the way to change our country.
Well, Larry, I know this is going to be hard for most of our audience to believe, but we both have other interviews coming up. Like right now, we got to run.
Okay, you and me both. Excellent.
Well, that's my friend Larry O'Connor, ladies and gentlemen, who really was, in fact, a pathfinder in this particular line of work. And strange though it is to believe, in fact, it's almost impossible to believe, but what you're watching here, I guess we're in real trouble, is in fact the future of news and media and information and entertainment and commentary all wrapped together. All of the traditional means of these kind of things are falling apart as we watch. And it's going to be the quick little mammals here that I think are going to be able, as I say, to run through the toes of those big dinosaurs and survive in this bizarre market. We've been trying our very best to try and stay ahead of this market. Things are moving so fast. We're adapting as quickly as we can, and because we're small and light, we can adapt pretty quickly. So I want to thank you again for your patience and especially for your membership. None of this would be possible without it. And this message is, in fact, getting out there. And it's the future, and it's nice to be on the side of the future. So until next time, again, thank you for your membership. I'm Bill Whittle. Thank you for joining us here on After Hours.